Hello, I'm Sirisha Kora, and I'm the head of R&D in Nokia for fixed access SDN controller application. Today, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about software-defined access and how we see the shift from hype to reality. I'm going to talk about some of the real-world use cases and scenarios that we are driving our operators to transform their networks and operations to move towards SDN and disaggregated access solutions. So let's take a look. Okay, before I go to the SDN and access trends and real-world use cases, I want to highlight something that is quite important. On the left side, we see a chart that shows how COVID brought a 4-year acceleration to the broadband demand. We all know that broadband demand is growing over time, but it has become more evident with this acceleration. But what's interesting is that this high demand, interestingly, did not necessarily translate into high profitability for the CSPs. As you can also see on the right-hand side, based on a report from TM Forum, looking at the annual revenue and operating expenses, CSPs are focused on reducing OpEx rather than CapEx because a large proportion of the CapEx is on the network. As new operator revenues remain limited in the new normal, and CapEx is tied to network buildup, operators have to look at OpEx for improved earnings and increased earnings. And this is where software-defined networking combined with advanced automation comes to the rescue. SDN and access networks expands operators' ability to innovate, automate, simplify operations, and bring agility, and most importantly, reduce cost. Let's walk through some of these trends in the rest of this presentation. So one of the most important trends that I want to bring out is a key enabler, that is access disaggregation. Traditionally, like you see on the left-hand side, proprietary software was integrated and tightly coupled with the hardware. But thanks to SDN, now it's possible to disaggregate software and hardware in an open way, making it easier to integrate different technologies and mix and match multiple components and provide deployment flexibility. Access disaggregation is often associated with white box solutions and open source. However, there are actually carrier-grade solutions that with the same open, modular, and programmable concepts can already be hardened by the vendor community. Many of our customers are looking for that, which is basically the best of both worlds. Although many of our customers still are in the traditional side, we do see some customers or operators exploring the white box solutions. But what we see is a drive towards the center. We see a lot of operators trying to move to the center, which provides them more automation, easier integration, more agility, and most importantly, much lower TCO. This best of both worlds solution also provides better TCO compared to pure white box solutions, which often require a lot of custom development work. And this shift to the center is one of the key observations that we have seen with many operators. Now, I talked about how this shift towards disaggregated access is happening. And in order to simplify these operations and deployment, disaggregated access solutions are also being standardized in Broadband Forum Cloud CEO. The attractive part of this approach is that the open and standard APIs, which make it a lot easier to combine any orchestrator on top of any controller with any access node on any technology, be it from any vendor. That is very important for the operators. Nokia, together with other vendors and leading operators, are defining these frameworks and the specifications that are needed to get there. The frameworks and specifications that these Cloud CEO frameworks are coming up with are reaching its much needed maturity right now in 2021. This is truly taking one step further in delivering hardened solutions in an open framework for the operators. Now, Nokia's Access SDN controller called Altiplano is a good example of one such Cloud CO compliant carrier-grade SDN controller that lets operators manage, control third-party nodes, be it aggregated or disaggregated, traditional nodes, or as well as white boxes in a hardened fashion, which is very important. Now let's take a look at open software platforms and what it means to network innovation. With Altiplano, we have created a truly open and modular cloud platform. This platform offers a complete suite of management and SDN control functions. All this is designed using modular, cloud-native microservices architecture, which makes it easy to integrate and customize for the operator's need. And its open framework easily allows to grow to new customer requirements as they arise. The model-driven programmable platform in Altiplano, which with its intent-based networking and combined with extreme automation provided by workflows, policy engine, and advanced analytics, and closed-loop automation is one of the key to bringing operators' OpEx down with all these automation functions. The open and programmable platform also allows to mix and match best-in-class applications, in addition to a rich catalog of built-in automation applications that come along with the controller. This can accelerate the introduction of new features and technologies in a much more agile and DevOps way. This has been one of an important aspect for the operators. Now, let's take a look at how this power of automation is helping us in broadband networks and what are some of the important and interesting use cases that operators are looking at. Automated subscriber activation is one such use case that many operators are looking for. This allows operators to deploy services with agility and reduced OpEx, combined with zero-touch provisioning and operations, which is possible because of the always-on view of the network in the SDN controller. This has become even more easier to do subscriber activation without any provisioning, with everything being zero touch. Intent-based networking, workflows, and closed-loop automation also allow for other use cases like easy hardware snaps, PON port upgrades, or service profile upgrades, be it for marketing or targeted upgrades. All this has become very easy to do with all the workflows, policies, with the power of intent-based networking. Also, when combined with real-time telemetry and the same closed-loop automation that I was talking about, we can provide use cases like dynamic network optimization, which can help in capacity planning and also smart SLA management in cases of congestion, combined with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Another important aspect that we also see is service assurance, which is very important. There are several cases where service assurance coupled with closed loop automation brings down the overall TCO of the solution. It helps in ensuring subscribers' SLAs and KPIs. One such example for fixed wireless access is also shown here. And to add to all this, there's also preventive analytics in the form of detection of anomalies, predicting failures, and potentially fixing them using AI and ML, which is also becoming more important for the operators. This is just a few of the use cases, if not all, that operators are embracing SDN for in broadband networks. Now, since we have seen the trend and also use cases that SDN provides and the power of automation of SDN in broadband networks, as promised, I also want to walk you through the real-world operator scenarios. And one such real-world operator scenario is the Greenfield SDN. The Greenfield SDN is cases where operators are using SDN for Greenfield deployments, like for new rollouts. like, for example, new FTTH rollouts or fixed wireless access rollouts. They're able to embrace SDN right from the start because it's easier for them and they're able to reap the benefits of SDN. The next set of customers that we see are the quick win customers, where they really want to quickly be able to grab a particular market. For example, fiber extension for G.fast. In this particular case, SDN has proven to be really useful because with intent-based networking that we can provide in our SDN controller, we were able to abstract the network complexities and easily integrate into their OSS ecosystem. And next, we also see what we call sometimes the early start or the early adopters, where the operators are looking at OSS transformations. They're looking at advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, and reaping the benefits of automation to reduce OpEx and lower TCO. This is not necessarily on new install base, but also on an existing install base. And the next set of customers is what we call, or operators is what we call transformational operators. These are operators that are truly looking SDN in a big way. Some of the use cases to talk about here are single pane of glass controller for disaggregated access, for multi-vendor, for end-to-end SDN, including other domains and connecting it to other domains. And that's where network slicing comes into play, and with providing end-to-end SDN capabilities and combining with other domains. This has also been one of the key use cases that we are actually working with some of the operators. Last but not the least is another important aspect in some of the regions where it's very popular, which is also called open access network sharing. This is about being able to share the physical access network to multiple virtual network operators in a flexible, open, and with the right amount of isolation that is needed. This is possible with SDN and its power because SDN is able to provide those capabilities of isolation and at the same time, the flexibility for these multiple operators to manage this network as if it was their network while still remaining in the bounds of the physical access provider. So these are some of the use cases that and real world scenarios that we have been seeing in terms of trends. Nokia has been helping customers and operators move to SDN in all these different cases. And we have had more than 30 wins and 100 trials in these areas, covering all these scenarios all across the globe. And that is quite interesting. Now, I talked about all these real world scenarios. Let's take a look at how these are getting deployed. Operators are moving towards SDN, but how are they really deploying this cloud native SDN solutions? To be honest, there are several flavors here for deployment in the cloud, ranging from on-prem cloud to public to hybrid cloud deployments. What flavor the operator chooses depends on a lot of factors. For example, cost, regulatory compliance, security, ecosystem, and lots of things. And most importantly, it's also IT skills, because not all operators have the skills to be able to maintain their own cloud deployment. So it's very important for the SDN controller to be able to cater to different deployment models and support for any cloud environment, any Kubernetes distribution in a private or public cloud, whether it's a vendor provider or an open source solution. So Altiplano SDN controller has been quite successful in being able to cater to all these cloud deployments. And that's also one of the important factors in being able to roll out these technologies to the operators. So on a closing note, what I would like to say is that since we have seen all these trends, what really gets the operator's attention? Most importantly, it's real world expertise in delivering career-grade solutions, not just in SDN and software, but also proven experience as an access network solutions provider. It's the whole solution that matters. And most importantly, they're also looking for an open and multi-vendor ecosystem that is in a hardened solution. And it is very important to provide agility and flexibility for the deployments. while still able to scale and perform to their growing needs. With that, I come to the end of the presentation, and we will take any questions that come in the question and answers chat. Thank you. Are there any questions? I believe there are no questions at this time, but we will be looking at the swap card for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them, and we would be glad to answer them for you. Thank you, and have a great rest of the day. Bye. Okay, I see a question on the chat window that is asking about what category does majority of the telco fall in? Well, it is actually a mix. We see a lot of the telcos fall in more, I would say, towards the left in terms of greenfield and also quick wins, but there are a lot of operators exploring towards the right as well. So that's why I wanted to bring out all the different scenarios that we are seeing, but most of the real world deployments, I would say, are targeted more towards the left when compared to the right. Okay, we have a few more minutes if any other questions come in, I believe. We are reaching the top of the session slot, I believe, and I don't see any more questions on the chat window. But like I said, we will be watching the chat window. If you have any questions, we can answer them afterwards as well. Again, thank you very much for the time. Have a good rest of the day.